All right, placing my hands on my heart. Taking in that deep cleansing breath of love and gratitude. So grateful for this opportunity to be together, to be the two or more gathered in the name and the nature of love. Grateful for the love and support that this group is to each other and to me. Grateful for our willingness to remain open-hearted, open-minded, and our desire to shine away any and all blocks to love. We're allowing them to dissolve and resolve back to the nothingness from which they came. We're grateful for all of our earthly and heavenly helpers and ask that they surround and support us now, leading and guiding us, blessing our conversation, blessing all those here and all who may listen later. And we're grateful that we get to share the benefits of the blessings we receive and this beautiful conversation and the love that we are with everyone because we're one with them. In grace and divine gratitude, we let it be. And so it is. Amen. So we're in chapter 27, still section 6, the witness to sin. And I'm going to start us with, if I can see, a little light and a little wipe of the tears. There we go. Paragraph 2. Sin shifts from pain to pleasure, and again to pain. For either witness is the same and carries but one message. You are here within this body, and you can be hurt. You can have pleasure too, but only at the cost of pain. These witnesses are joined by many more. Each one seems different because it has a different name, and so it seems to answer to a different sound. Except for this, the witnesses of sin are all alike. Can call pleasure pain and it will hurt. Call pain pleasure and the pain behind the pleasure will be felt no more. Sin's witnesses but shift from name to name as one steps forward and another back. Yet which is foremost makes no difference. Sin's witnesses hear but the call of death. And I felt like anyone who has ever had an addiction experience has experienced this, that you have that sense of pain. And so you reach for the addicted substance. And then for a brief moment, you have pleasure. And then you have pain again because you're beating yourself up for reaching for the substance and self-medicating. And where he says, call pain a pleasure and the pain behind the pleasure will be felt no more. And that is how I quit smoking last year. Because I was giving myself the permission to enjoy the pleasure of it. It was no longer a pain. And for whatever weird, crazy reason, it was no longer something that I was really interested in anymore. So that's how I know that there was some part of me that was using the smoking for punishment of whatever kind. Anyway, so that is where I'm starting us off. Who else would like to share?
Hey, Linda, it's Chris. Can you explain that a little bit more? Using smoking or drinking, I was a big drinker, as punishment. I've not heard of that before. I'd love to understand that.
Well, the way I kind of looked at it was, we know that these things aren't exactly good for us, both physically by what we're told the alcohol or the tobacco and all of the properties that a cigarette has are doing to the physical body, but also because what we're using them for is to not feel our feelings, to not allow ourselves to go into our heart and recognize that our heart is crying out for love right now, and really could just use love instead of a cigarette or a drink. And so in that way, it feels as though it really is a punishment for whatever sin we believe we have done. You know, even if it is like the Catholics say, you know, the original sin, where you know, in the Garden of Eden, Eve ate the apple and had Adam eat the apple, you know, whatever that sin is, that the sin of separation that the Course talks about. So it's, for me, my feeling and my understanding of it is that even though I am deriving obviously some pleasure, I wouldn't have been doing it, that it really arose from a way to punish myself by not allowing myself to feel my feelings.
So did you have a gradual cut down on your cigarettes, if I don't mind, or was it something?
No, I don't mind asking at all. I actually didn't. I was smoking the same amount that I normally did, which wasn't a huge amount, but it was still too much. It was still like half a pack of cigarettes a day. And I mean, compared to, like, my dad was a 2-pack a day smoker. So I always kind of go by that. But what I did was I ran out of them and I just didn't buy anymore. But I never said I'm quitting. I never said I do not have permission to go to the store and buy another pack of cigarettes if I want to. And I still, to this day, will say, if I feel like going to the store and buying a pack of cigarettes, I have permission to do that. Is that the loving choice? Probably not. So in each moment, I get to decide what is a loving choice for me right now.
Yeah. I do find that once, you and Jennifer talked about making whatever, I have kind of addictive personality too. And if I can look at that and make it neutral, boy, that really impacted me, rather than making it bad. Just saying, okay. So anyhow, thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Yeah. And I mean, I guess that's sort of what I did, making it neutral, because what I was doing before was, when I would go out to the garage to have a cigarette, even though I knew that I was self-medicating with it and it was feeling somehow good in the moment, while I was out there, I was telling myself how stupid I was for doing it because it's so bad for you. And, my mother's had cancer twice, and, just all the things. And, what kind of a spiritual teacher and student and counselor, self-medicates with cigarette smoking, and, like all of the nasty inner critic things were popping up. So what I was doing by going out there and telling myself, oh, this is actually good for me, I'm claiming this for my good, I know God is using this for my good, every puff of cigarette smoke I take is filling my lungs with love and light. And I mean, that's really, as ridiculous as it sounds, that's really how I did it.
Mm.
So I feel like because I had been so far on the one side where I was, where the inner critic was just beating the crap out of me, going to the other side, the inner critic was just like, oh man, I'm not getting the results I want here anymore, and just kind of gave up. So I feel like that's kind of how I made it neutral.
Yeah, thank you.
You're welcome. Thanks for the question. Hamira and then Mary Lee.
Good morning, everybody. Oh, thank you so much, Linda, for that. Because when I was reading this, it's funny. I mean, I definitely have an addictive personality, and I stopped drinking 20-something years ago. And thank God I did, because it definitely runs in my family, addiction issues and everything. But this didn't pop out at me that it was talking about even those type of things. What I thought about, it came to mind, was special relationships, how they can be pleasurable and then can turn into pain, witness of that. And then also I thought about, people that have, again, no judgment about this if this is your thing, but people that use like sex as like painful stuff as pleasure, and like that also came to mind for me, like what is S&M kind of stuff, like people that go to the extremes of, that's painful, but it feels like pleasure to them. So, and I thought, God, we're so topsy-turvy here. Like everything is so literally upside down in this world of illusion. So that's sort of what came up for me as I read this. But I'm really grateful that you pointed out that the addiction thing, because that really speaks to me too. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you, Hamira. Go ahead, Mary Lee.
Well, I wondered about whether I know I'm a newer student to Course in Miracles, so my ignorance will be talking here, or my lack of understanding. With the use of the word sin in that paragraph, and I read over the lesson a couple times before we're meeting here. Now, I've been trying to help my sister, who has a lot of physical pains, and she's been taking opioids for many years. Against her will, the doctors stopped them, and actually against what I would call a healthier program to help one perhaps replace that need with other things, or at least help with a gradual decrease or something. Anyhow, regardless of one's views on that, she's very unhappy and talks about her pain all the time. And a glass of wine in the evening for arthritis pain is what I do. So then I said, I have counseled her by saying, well, a substitute of whether you take Tylenol or whether you have a glass of wine. If you're hurting all the time and not able to be enjoying life at all. So in my suggestion of that, it isn't in my mind sin. So I have trouble with the definition of sin, I think, is what I'm saying. And I realize as I do the course, maybe that will come clearer to me. But I find myself balking a bit at that. Fortunate or not, we're in these bodies, and these bodies hurt, and these bodies go through pain and suffering. And where you just read, same paragraph, call pleasure pain and it will hurt, but call pain a pleasure, and the pain behind the pleasure will be felt no more. So I don't understand that as well as I should.
Yeah.
So I think I'm
Very-
more questioning than having any words with them.
Well, first, I would just want to say that I don't feel it's ignorance. I feel it's beginner mind, and I love it because it brings questions that are so helpful to everybody. So never think that what you're bringing to the table is not helpful and a good contribution to what we're talking about. And the course really has said that there is no such thing. There is no such thing as sin. The only sin is that we believe that we're separate from God. And so what I would say about what you're talking about with the glass of wine at night and your sister with the opioids is, the course calls things like that magic. And at the same time, it is not interested in having us judge ourselves if we're using magic to deal with what's happening in our lives. Just like, when I was experiencing depression and anxiety, I could either beat myself up for the fact that I felt that I needed to take medication, or I could just take the medication and allow the medication to get me over the hump so that I could come back to my right mind. And so there is no sin. And the fact that you're using a glass of wine to help you deal with the pain of arthritis, I'm not feeling any sense that you should be doubting that that's okay for you to do. Do you know what I mean?
Mhm.
And the same with your sister. I mean, and at the same time, from what we're reading in the course is that the pain that we're having is also not caused by an actual physical symptom, that the physical symptoms are brought about because of our false beliefs or our incorrect thoughts. Again, it's not sin, but it is causing a reaction. It's that cause and effect thing. So, I don't know, does that help at all? And I'm sure Gwen and Kathy have probably something, Kathleen also have probably something that would be helpful as well. Go ahead, Gwen. Bail me out, girl.
I don't know if I can do that entirely because I feel like in some ways I'm a little newer. I haven't taken any of Jennifer's classes and whatnot, but I was thinking what you were saying, the pain and the pleasure. And I read this and I was like, it took a little bit to, to wrap my head around, but it really hit me for food. And, I've gained weight over COVID, not happy about it, but it isn't like I sit down and eat a box of cookies or something, but I know I could eat less in general. And I look at this and I'm like, okay, so, and it's interesting because just the last few days, I was starting to question myself. Okay, so why am I doing this? Why am I eating that piece of chocolate or, a little more of this than I need to? What is going on? Why do I'm already, aware and I'm self-evaluating and I'm like, okay, I know I've got a knot in my stomach. I'm trying not that I'm going to get hysterical, but I'm trying not to be upset. I still have to get a renter for my property, even though there's no one living there. I mean, I just got $150 water bill. It's a flat rate. No one's there. And plus mine, I'm looking at $380 for that. And just this morning, I was remembering, oh my God, I'm going to have an $800 car insurance bill anytime. And, and it's just these, and I'm alone a lot, too much. And I have a partner, but he's in another state. And there are just, I kind of think whether it's Mary Lee with the glass of wine for the arthritis. Now, it didn't sound like she was having, 3-4 glasses, half of a bottle every night. You know, and if I have to have a piece of dark chocolate, I'm not talking about a huge bar, but you know, a piece, then that's just okay, because there are challenges, but at the same time, I want to evaluate, and I really want to make changes. But there is a point too, I also feel with some of the things that I see in my life that, you know, the renter, blah, 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 the money is going out, going out. My God, is my savings account going to be emptied before I get a renter? What am I going to do? And I have a little post-it right here on my computer. You know, let go and let God. Give it to God and enjoy today. And I think for me, the message is I really have to take that to heart, but I get it. We have things going on, and maybe we do have, you know, whether it's wine or chocolate or, you know, whatever it is. And maybe that's a question we each need to ask ourselves. What do we determine is okay for us? And I think your thoughts and beliefs, as you're saying, I know that's right where it all is, right there. So, and as always, I so greatly appreciate everyone's input. Always, I learned so much. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Gwen. And something that popped into my head when you were talking is to just make sure that you are clear what you desire and affirm it. Yeah, thank you. Kathy.
Yeah, I this section I read and kind of reread a couple times, and it's full and rich, and you know, sometimes we get what we get when we're ready. And what hit me was paragraph 6, where it says the miracle forgives because it stands for what is past forgiveness and is true. I like that because long ago I learned in this program the nice way I didn't like the word sin, kind of bothered me. It just doesn't feel right, you know. It's like, and I don't believe it, but it's a mistake or a misstep in life. And I love looking at it that way because we are humans having this experience. So we do have missteps. And it is from those, that's our conflict, that is coming up to show us there's another way. Choose again. And we also know that forgiveness is our key, our tool. That when we are questioning ourselves, when we're in doubt, it is the time to take a look. What am I not seeing? Because the truth of me is that I am love, but I just don't believe it all the time. So this is my opportunity to come back to say, I don't even maybe know what I'm needing to forgive, but I know it must be a block to seeing the truth or seeing love. So let me just in this moment be willing to say, you know, I am sorry for the thoughts that I'm having. Hugh, Lynn, so please forgive me. I thank you. And I'm going to love myself as I am in this willingness to learn and take this in and free myself of this guilt, this overwhelming guilt that we can't even identify sometimes. So here's a nice passage that helps us to see that we just need to come back to forgiveness. We don't need to point our finger at out there or at ourselves. We are learning. We are here. We're growing. But remember that we have missteps, and our key is forgiveness. And here we are. And yes, Izzy is sending her love.
Thank you, Kathleen. Yeah, I always love the idea of the missteps and how Jennifer talks about like how a rocket to the moon is constantly readjusting just a tiny bit its trajectory to the moon, you know, depending on the wind or, you know, whatever things are coming up against it. Yeah, thank you. Kathleen, and then Hamira, and then Nancy Gal.
Okay, hi, everybody. Nice to see everyone. So what I got, like, actually from reading Gary's books is that the more we know that we are not really physical bodies, the less the pain gets. Like Gary has said himself, his body, if he falls or the pain doesn't last as long. And especially if we can make it neutral, like it doesn't take the meaning away from falling or the meaning away from having diabetes, or that take the meaning away from it. If I fall, I have to hurt. That's not even true. That's what this thing is saying. That the miracle, like the next paragraph, is how foolish and insane it is to think a miracle is bound by laws which it came solely to undo. So the miracle is unbounded. So if you're in terrible pain, you can just be out of pain the next day, which has happened to me over and over and over. I went dancing and danced for 3 hours. I'm 69, went dancing for 3 hours last Friday night. And when I got home, every single thing in my body hurt. And I just took a couple magic pills, ibuprofen and a muscle relaxer. And I woke up and I was fine. And my hands have arthritis in them. I think that's the meaning I'm making of it. I don't know if my hands can be healed, but some days they hurt and some days they don't. I just think that we can just lighten up on the whole pain thing and not be afraid of it. It's really helpful. And then talking about taking away the meaning of actions. I went and made love to a man. I told myself the next time an opportunity came up to have sex, I was going to go for it, but I was going to take all the meaning out of it. And so I did. I tried to be as present as possible, pretend I was making love to God, had some regular old sex, and came away without feeling good or bad about it. Nothing. So to me, that was, it just, for me, takes away any, I don't know, I don't really care if I have sex, because if it doesn't really have much meaning, then why do it? So anyway, that's where I am with sex, because I know sex was taken out by Helen, taken out of the Course in Miracles book when she was editing it. And I just listened to Robert, an hour-long talk on the editing of A Course in Miracles by Helen. And she is this blessed person that got to hear Jesus' voice. But then when she went to edit, she became just a regular, really good editor. And she edited out, especially of the first 4 chapters, a lot of stuff, and I edited out a lot about miracles. So the new book that it took Robert 12 years to put all of this stuff back in is really worth getting and studying. And there's parts in the back where they say what was taken out and why they put it back in. And there's a lot of stuff in here, like Helen took out, when you think about anxiety, it used to say separation anxiety, and she took out the separation part. Well, Robert says all anxiety is separation anxiety. We're anxious because we left God. That's what causes the anxiety. It's nothing else. And so to me, I'm just really glad that Robert put it all back in. There's so much more in the beginning about miracles. It makes so much more sense. So anyway, I just wanted to share that, because I think it's important that people, as students, that we honor what Jesus originally wanted us to hear, with references to Edgar Cayce and sex and all kinds of stuff in there. So thanks for letting me share.
Yeah, thanks, Kathleen. Is that the purple book? Yeah, because my intention is, this is what I've been guided, is after we complete the blue book and then complete the manual for teachers in the blue book, that we will go to the purple book and start at the beginning all over again. So, because I have toyed with, working through A Course of Love or going to the Way of Mastery, but I find so much richness in A Course in Miracles. So yeah, that's my intention, is once we get finished with the blue book, we're going to start in the purple book at the very beginning. So thanks for that, Hamira, and then Nancy Gill, and then Leslie.
Oh, Linda, you just made me so happy, because I like Kathleen. I love that purple book. I love the cameos in the back. There's so much richness in that book. I mean, and I don't think like the one we're reading, we'll get it. It's not that, but there's just so much in the other one. And I feel like the footnotes a lot of times clarify what, you don't have to try to figure it out. It's just really, really helpful. So I'm so grateful we're going to be doing that with you moving forward. I wanted to kind of go to paragraph 1 because it says pain demonstrates the body must be real. It is a loud, obscuring voice who shrieks would silence what the Holy Spirit says and keep his words from your awareness. Pain compels attention, drawing it away from him, meaning the Holy Spirit, and focusing upon itself. Its purpose is the same as pleasure, for they both are means to make the body real. And what shares a common purpose is the same. This is the law of purpose, which unites all those who share in it within itself. Pleasure and pain are equally unreal because their purpose, which is the body, cannot be achieved, that the body is real. They're trying to show that the body is real. And then paragraph 3, it says the body, purposeless within itself, holds all the memories and all your hopes. You use its eyes to see, its ears to hear, and let it tell you what it is it feels. It does not know. It tells you, but the names you gave to it to use when you call forth the witnesses to its reality. You cannot choose among them which are real, for any one you choose is like the rest. And I thought this is really incredible because I've been having this shoulder thing going on now more than 6 months. I think I was doing some sort of yoga and this is my left side, which I was hit by a car in my 20s. So it's weaker than my right side. And, I've had plates in this arm and everything, but my shoulder, there was never anything wrong with my shoulder. And so I have tried all kinds of things to heal it, and I haven't been able to. And I even went to an orthopedic surgeon. He's like, well, it doesn't show it's torn, but this is common, and we can do surgery. And the surgery is a big deal. I mean, it's outpatient, but it's a big deal. And like the recovery is like 6 weeks. And I really want to heal like in the invisible. I don't want to, so I've been really trying. And then there was another lady who is in another group, and she had the same problem. She said she did the surgery and her shoulder's fine. And then I thought, okay, so should I do the surgery? Do I not? That's magic. But then I remembered like somebody was saying about pills and wine, and you said it's like magic of the world, but it's okay as long as you don't give it meaning. I remember Corinne Zupko was one of my favorite course teachers. She would say, I'm not there yet to like fully like heal everything the way Jesus is. So when I take a pill, when I have to do something, I just take it with spirit. I always put like spirit, you're in charge, So I guess I'm just sharing to see if anybody has had something like this, where they've actually been able to heal it in the invisible versus like taking the, medical kind of professionals advice. Because I've had so much surgery because of that accident in my life that I don't want another one if possible. So anyway, just putting that out there, even though my body isn't real, when I have that pain, I can see why it says the voice of it drowns out the voice of truth, because it makes you really think that you are a body, even though you're not. So anyway, just wanted to see if any thoughts on that. Thank you.
Go ahead, Marilyn.
That actually goes along a little bit with what I had said earlier, although didn't completely state every facet of it. And that was, I don't consider a glass of wine or pain pills a sin or something that we should shun. I feel a couple things that, and I'm not saying this is the way, I'm learning new ways all the time, but it seems to me that this body is a gift on earth, and at times I have misused this gift, and such as for Humira, had a car accident that some would say that's asked for. I don't know about that. Life happens and we get aches and pains, and we get some that are very distracting to us. And sometimes, and that's why, like for my sister, degrees of, well, if this is occupying your mind every second of the day, that you're having all this pain without the opioids that you were used to, for heaven's sakes, then try for something that's lesser, that might help you enjoy a bit of today, that is a gift. So I've had both my shoulders have surgery, and many years of being a medical nurse in Western Hospital. And there's good and bad in every practice that I've been able to see in my 72 years. That's just me. I see some things in different practices. So a lot of times my guide is, how long have you had this? How long has this been bringing your attention to it? And surgery can be a huge gift also. And it's remarkable, the learning that people have, their hands. I look at it as help, and how lucky we are sometimes that there are those that can help what is taking a lot of our attention away from what I think, and I don't even know if this goes along with Course in Miracles, but I think our lives were meant to be enjoyed, and not occupied with pain. And if there's a solution and it's something that you've had for a long time, then I think, okay, you look relatively young to me, Humira, and 6 weeks minus the next, I don't know, 6 decades or something. I mean, if it's going to help, then I look at it as a gift after checking other opinions. And that's just my opinion, that may not match anyone's else, but that's how I feel. Like, how much of your energy is it robbing from you enjoying the pleasures of today? So I don't know if that's helpful, but
Mary Lee, I just love you. First of all, I just think I know you keep saying, I'm new to this. You have a lot of wisdom in you. And I so appreciate, that's what Rupert Spira, one of my favorite non-dual teachers, says, we're here to be happy because that's our nature. So that's what I hear you saying. For me, I just haven't yet, and I'm not sure if this is my ego trying to a spiritualized ego, trying to do something in the world of spirituality where I heal it, or really I haven't yet. I even went to the doctor the third time. Each time it's a lot of money. I have to pay $350 to see him just for the copay. And he's like, because once you pass 2-3 weeks, he needs to see you again. And I've set the surgery up and I've canceled it. And I don't know what that is. I just haven't had this thing to say, okay, do it. And I don't think it's fear, but I'm not sure. So I'm just kind of putting it out there. If there's some other way, I'm open to it. I don't know. But I loved your share. Thank you, Mary Lee.
Yeah, thank you both. The only thing that came to my mind, Humira, to talk about the pain, and it reminds me a little bit of the story about the man that he found a horse, and everybody said how great it was that he found this horse, and then his son was riding the horse and his son fell off of the horse and broke his leg. And everybody said, oh, what bad luck it was for him to find that horse so that his son could ride it and fall off and break his leg. And then there was a war and his son couldn't go to war because he had a broken leg. So it's all about the meaning that we're making of it. And the body is such a drama queen. The body is like, oh, I can't go on, really it is. And so the less meaning I make of it and the more I focus my attention on the joy, like Mary Lee was saying, the enjoyment of life, the less pain I'm going to have, whether it's physical, emotional, or mental pain. Just like I considered possibly not doing our group today because of the loss of my cat. And I thought, he was here for basically every single time we got together. What would he want me to do? He would want me to be here doing this. But the body's like, oh, it can't go on, seriously. So it was the meaning I was making of it. And as soon as I was able to get over the meaning I was making of it, I can just admit I'm sad because I lost my cat, because he's gone on beyond the veil. But that doesn't mean that I can't be here and I can't give and receive inspiration. So I hope that helps. It really is the meaning that we're making of all of the things that the body is telling us, and that we believe and buy into. Yeah. Nancy Gale, then Leslie, and then Linda, and then Robin.
Okay, can you hear me? Can you
Yes.
hear me?
Yes,
Oh.
yes.
Okay. Well, this is taking a different tack from what I got. I found my life's purpose. This gave me my life's purpose. That's for the first time. I went to bed last night. I was reading it again. I mean, I read it before, and it's like, I went to bed and thinking, oh, I got to go to bed because I got to get up and go to the study course. It's like, I had a reason. I had a reason. I have a reason now for what, I found right, the end of my life, right? Unless I live to be 100, but that would be 20 more years, but 79, right? And I don't know. It's like everything in this chapter is, and it's interesting. It's towards the end of the text, and It's like, was it? Oh, I could read the whole thing and point to everything that every point in this, every paragraph is another point, and it's all it's like I wanted something. Oh, here, what's the what sin is? In paragraph 5, it says the miracle makes no distinctions in the names by which sin's witnesses are called. We call them all these different things. The miracle merely proves that what those witnesses represent has no effects. And this it proves because its own effects have come to take their place. The miracle's effects have come to take the place of all those witnesses. It matters not the name by which you've called your suffering. It's no longer there. The one who brings the miracle perceives them all as one and called by the name of fear. That's what sin is, fear. They're all the same thing. As fear is witness to death, so is the miracle the witness unto life. It's a witness no one can deny, for it is the effects of life it brings. The dying live, the dead arise, and pain has vanished. Yet a miracle speaks not only for its. I use only when they have but it. The miracle speaks not only for itself, but what it represents. Then the next word, love. Love too has symbols in a world of sin. The miracle forgives because it stands for what is past forgiveness and is true. Helpful. Oh, Leslie already read that. The laws of sin have different witnesses with different strengths, and they attest to different sufferings. Yet, to the one who sends forth miracles to bless the world of the Holy Spirit, a tiny stab of pain, a little worldly pleasure, and the throes of death itself are only a single sound, a call for healing, and a plaintive cry for help within a world of misery. It's their sameness that the miracle attests. It's their sameness that it proves. The laws that call them different are dissolved and shown as powerless. The purpose of a miracle is to accomplish this, and God Himself has guaranteed the strength of miracles for what they witness to. And it says, be you then witness to the miracle and not the laws of sin. There's no need to suffer anymore, but there is need that you be healed, because the suffering and sorrow of the world have made it deaf, the world deaf, to its salvation and deliverance. The resurrection of the world awaits your healing and your happiness, that you may just demonstrate the healing of the world. That's my purpose. The holy instant, you know that, lesson 361. That's my goes. The holy instant will replace all sin if you only carry its effects with you. Go, minute by minute, wherever you go, whatever you do, carry that with the effects with you. And what are the effects? And no one will elect to suffer anymore. What better function could you serve than this? Be healed that you may heal, and suffer not the laws of sin to be applied to you. And truth will be revealed to you who chose to let love symbols take the place of sin. And this is like when it talks about, where is it up here? David, he posted a picture of himself, or maybe Bonnie, his wife, put the picture up. He wears glasses. In this picture, he's sitting, or I think he's sitting someplace. And I enlarged it to see his, close up of his face, his eyes, and I saw he doesn't have his glasses on, and his eyes were like vacant. It was like there's nobody there. He's gone. And I just looked, and he's like got this beard, and he's not the person. And it's like if I was walking down the street and he was walking past him, I wouldn't recognize him. He looks like this old man. And I looked at his eyes, and I said, his beautiful eyes. And I said, his eyes, it's like, David, what did And yet the post that he posted, he was saying he's accepting, people can come and visit him now, as long as they've had their shots and blah 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 and all that, and they've that prove, because any little germ he'll die. And that, yeah, and I read this, and it's like, what did it say? No one, wherever it is, it's in there where suffering, there is no need to suffer anymore. The miracle, and it's like, that's my part, and it's like my part is required in the healing, and it's like healing begins with me. My purpose. This is my purpose. I wrote it. Do you know the thing in geometry where you have the function and you have the little, okay, that's, and it's just like, okay, that's my purpose for the rest of my life. I still have a purpose. And it's like, I can, I have a part in this healing of the world, and it's all done with a mind. I don't have to be there with him. I can't be there anyway, because he's so, hundreds of miles away. And then the other thing is, of course, my knee, when you guys were talking about the physical, I've had both shoulders, the rotator cuffs, because both were falls and one, at work and stuff like that. And this time the knee, I said, well, I'm tired of surgery too. It's like, that was another at work thing. And so when I moved down here, of course, I'm going through, I've always, first time I went to the bone doctor, the first thing she said to me was, up in Rochester, what do you think about knee replacement? I said, not much. I think Kathleen and I, we discussed this once before, Kathleen, a couple years ago. But anyways, I still haven't had one. And so down here, it's like I went to the doctor, and he didn't. That was not the first thing. He never even mentioned it until I brought it up, and he gave me a couple other options. If we can manage the pain and everything like that. I said, fine. I mean, he gave me other up to consider. Just consider. And then I remembered Jennifer a few months back. I said something when she's talking about the move down here and the knee surgery. She was saying maybe it's the way you maybe having the knee replacement would be you don't know what it's for. The purpose of it might be for you to come in contact or whatever, witness to whoever other people in the process of doing that. That might be the purpose somewhere in there. And I said, okay, well, but then I'm I wish I could just put it up on the wall someplace. This is actually, I call this, but when I was telling Amy last night, I said, I have to Bible study. I called it Bible study and when I went to bed this night, I said, wait a minute. Because she's then, her and her husband are in the, it's like, anyways, it's like, this is my Bible.
It is.
I mean, Jesus wrote it. I mean, they claim the Bible was written by, all this stuff. It's like, but this was actually written by, sort of, through Helen. So
Yeah,
I'm going to stop now because I could go on for the rest of the day.
Thank you, Nancy
But-
Gail. Appreciate
Okay.
that. Appreciate that. Sending love for you and David as well. All right, Leslie, Robin, then Grace.
Hi, everyone. Good to see you all. Linda, first of all, I just want to give you a hug. I was so sorry when you posted that Tigger had passed away. That's a difficult pain.
Yeah.
But our pets we just love them so much, and they love us so unconditionally. And
Yeah.
I was wondering if you'd be on today, so I'm not trying to make you cry. Sorry.
Yeah, that's okay.
I think the biggest thing I got out of this reading for me is, and I love, Linda, that you call the body a drama queen, because it's so true. It's like the body is if I could just sum it up in one sentence, it's the body is trying to distract me from God. And that's it, because I know when I have a headache pain is a great distraction. It is. Because it's, forget about gratitude, forget about anything. Where's the relief? What can I do to make the pain go away? So I was glad to read about that. And quickly, I just want to share a story for you, Gwen. This was something unexpected. Where did she go? I'm looking for her. Oh, there you are. Okay.
She's still here, just not
her face
sharing
anymore,
the
but that's
video.
fine. Yeah. I had a hair appointment on Saturday, and when I went to pay the bill, I was told, oh, you have a $60 credit in your account. I'm like, I do? And so I'm like, oh, my sister, goodness gracious, she's always doing nice things like that for me. Called my sister, she did not send it. My mom didn't send it. My husband didn't send it. Nobody I know gifted me the $60. So I was the proud recipient of a random act of kindness, and I was so grateful. And it was interesting because a few people posted on my Facebook, you deserve it. And I was like, I don't know if I deserved it. I'm used to being the giver of random acts of kindness. It felt a little different to be the recipient, because it's like, I don't have anybody to thank, and I wanted to show my gratitude so much. But my point is, Gwen, I absolutely believe you are just waiting for the right renters to arrive, and everything is perfect and in God's timing, and I'm totally going to hold that vision for you. And I'm so glad you didn't hire the one couple that you had bad vibes about or whatever. So you hang in there. That's what faith is all about, seeing and believing even when you can't see something. So I'm so excited when we finally hear that you have your renters, because that will be a wonderful day to celebrate. That's it. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, Leslie. Thanks for everything. Yep. I can't wait to celebrate with you, Gwen. Robin, and then Grace.
Hi, everyone. And Linda, I'm sorry about your kitty too. I'm kind of just thinking of the word sin. And for me, I don't like that word either. And I put sin under fear, and I put sin under negativity. And I don't want to be spending a lot of time in negativity. So my thoughts of sin, I try to move them over into a loving thought. And when I notice, and you all can correct me, when I'm reading, when I come to the word sin or sinless, I replace it or exchange it with the word innocent or innocence. And it seems to be just fine, but you're looking at it through a loving way instead of a negative way. So I don't know if that's helpful, but that's what came up for me. And Linda, sometimes I get so weary and I'm like, I just don't think I can go on. And when you did this, I just started laughing. And then I'm like, why am I laughing? And then I'm going to do that. I'm going to walk around the house. And especially at a dark space or low space, I can just, so thank you for that new tool. I'm going to put it in my pocket. And I don't know the main, and just Homera. I'm like, no, do I do this? Because then it's going to be an influence that's going to be confusing or make it worse. But I do want to remind you that or what I think I know is true, is that we are in such stress that we create these bodies that hurt and have pain and bigger disabilities. And, you've been through a lot of really deep, stressful moments, and just wanting, and maybe you have that awareness, but that's what came to me when you talked about your shoulders starting, or I get the impression that maybe it's just started up, or maybe it's been going on for a while, but just remembering, and maybe you've already attached that you understand that you've been under a lot of stress and that could create stuff, or a pain in your shoulder. And so I'm just offering that as just a way to bring that into your heart and mind, and just another option.
This is another affirmation for me, because I just had somebody had suggested in our group to do an angel reading that they had, and right away she said, "Are you having shoulder problems?" And she said it's correlated. I mean, just a few days ago, I literally had that, and she said it's more in one shoulder. Is it your left shoulder? I mean, she was so right on about everything that she said. So I'm just going to wait and see, because I agree with you. I have been under tremendous pressure past few years. So, and I'm starting to turn the corner in how I see things and perceive things. So I'm just going to sit with that for a little bit. And then if then I'm called to do the surgery, I'll do it, but I'll do it with spirit. Yeah. Thank you for that, Robin. Love you.
Yeah. Thank you. Love you too.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you so much. I so appreciate all of you so much. So next week, the dreamer of the dream.
We love you, Linda. And I didn't see the posting. I'm so sorry about your cat.
That's okay. Thank you.
I love you.
Thanks. Love you too. So I am going to read when I get myself together here. I'm going to read from Pathways of Light. Insights for lesson number 39, which is my holiness is my salvation. In the text, we learn that the guilt that comes with wanting to have a separate identity, is the foundation for the projected world of separation we see. With the belief that we really did separate from our source came guilt and fear of God's reprisal. We tried to hide from the guilt we secretly believed was ours by projecting this guilt onto a made-up world that we believed was separate from us. We are now learning to recognize that the physical world we see is just the effect of projected guilt. The guilt now looks like it has been hurled outside of us, but the truth is it has not left the split mind that is its source. The more we try to see guilt out there, the more we are reinforcing it in our minds. The truth is that this guilt that comes with our continued belief in separation is the real source of all our problems. It is the source of our belief in limitation, all our worries, stress, illness, and lack of any kind. Guilt is hell. In this lesson, Jesus tells us your holiness means the end of guilt and therefore the end of hell. As I look at the script of my life, I can see the many forms of limitation and guilt that I have believed in. I see that this life script came from unloving thoughts. I am seeing that I need to look closely at every unloving thought, every apprehension, every form of suffering I am making real through my belief and hand it over to the Holy Spirit. The Holy Spirit will reverse this belief and show me that the truth of my holiness is my salvation. This practice today helps me to heal all the false ideas that have guilt as their foundation. I am open to healing my mind today by looking at all the barriers to my holiness, all the thoughts that are unlike universal love. Love is one, love is universal. I let myself today be aware of the unloving thoughts that I am holding on to. Guilt is hell. How long do I want to stay in hell? It is my choice. Today, I am willing to recognize the thoughts that keep me in hell, keep me in limitation. I am ready to be brought back to wholeness, holiness. I am ready to let go of believing in separation, of believing that I am a separate person, unique and different from universal love. I am ready to return to happiness. My holiness is God's holiness because He created me as an extension of Himself. If I share His holiness, I must also share His strength. So today's idea could also be phrased, the strength of God is my salvation. With this idea, I feel great relief. Today's lesson lists many of the kinds of unloving thoughts that we experience daily: anger, worry, fear, etc. In looking at these, I realize that they all stem from a belief in weakness, which is another way of saying unworthiness. When I think of myself as weak, I think of myself as unable to do what God would have me do, which in essence is saying unable to love. If I believe I am unable to love, guilt is inevitable. Yet the strength of God is in me, so that it must be a mistaken idea. God is love. The strength of God in me enables me to love. It cannot be that I am unable to love. God is only love. So in truth, I must only be love. There can be no justification for guilt. Wow, that shoots holes in every justification there seems to be for guilt. It's over. It never was. Truly, my holiness is my salvation. Thank you, God.
Beautiful.
Thank you, everybody.
Beautiful.
Everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
See you all next week.
Love you all.
Love you too, Grace.
I am holy.
That's right. That's our purpose, to be holy and happy.
Yep.
Bye for now.
Bye.
Bye.